And we're live. Welcome to the Lakers Late Night Podcast. I am Anthony Irwin. We made it through what we thought was going to be a slaughter. Then it didn't look like it was going to be slaughter. And then the pig got slaughtered. The Golden State Warriors go on to beat the Lakers by a final score of 116-98. Kobe's last game in Oakland, there were plenty of chilly moments. I think this one was the most moment-filled game of the season so far. I am joined by Harrison Fagan. How are you doing, Harrison?
I'm doing pretty good. Just like that was a really fun first half of that game. The Tariq Black is alive and he's playing in NBA basketball games and not just in the D League. Like I was starting to think maybe he had a rare medical condition where he could only play in the D League. And so that's why he played so well down there and did all these things that the Lakers need. And the Lakers were like, yeah, we're gonna throw Bass out there because whatever. And Bass was a little better lately, but earlier in the season, it made absolutely no sense. And It was good to see him come in and do that stuff in an NBA game, even if it was for only one half. And they kind of went back to the Princeton garbled mess summer league offense in the second half when he was in there.
He had that one play where I think it was D'Angelo Russell, and it was one of the most far-fetched lobs you'll ever see in a game. But I did
D'Angelo Russell got a little overexcited about having a rolling dig and just threw a way overly ambitious lob. He forgot that Tariq Black is, as many are pointing out on Twitter, 6'9", and was not going to be a little bit athletically. I don't want to say athletically challenged, but he's not like an outrageous leaper, and he was not going to go and get that one.
Although he did
tried.
Still make a play on it.
Apparently, it's becoming a Lakers initiation tradition to try and murder Festus Ezeli. So,
did you just call him Feces?
Festus, isn't it Festus?
I thought it was Festus. I think
Festus, maybe. I'm bad at name pronunciations. People should know that by now.
Feces.
What are you, 8? We're going to derail the whole show now. He's going to be sitting there in a giggling fit.
Oh my God. Feces Ezeli. Now I hope he's a Laker, so if he comes over and plays like stuff, I can call him.
Well, at least you caught yourself on that one. Whew. We are off to a banner start, people. Thanks for hanging with us.
All right, this is the opposite of the way the game went. We are starting incredibly slow, and then, we'll hopefully get it together by the end of the second half. We'll get back on track by talking about Kobe's last game in Oakland. Like I said to start the show, I thought this game here featured more of those, bone-chilling, oh my God kind of moments. Started by Jerry West's tribute, both, the one that he did to start the game that I think caught Kobe a little bit. Kobe looked like there was some dust in his immediate vicinity. And then West gave two really heartfelt interviews, one with ESPN in a tunnel and then another mid-game with TNT. I guess from just a moment standpoint, am I completely going nuts about, these moments being more present in this game than in others?
Yeah, you could kind of, I mean, lately you've been able to feel it coming to the end. There's been all the farewell tour stuff. He's getting gifts and gifts, and everybody's throwing me off now in the mentions on Twitter. He's getting gifts and speeches and tribute videos in every city. And it's just you can see the end of the road now, and especially with this Achilles stuff this week, where it's like Gary Vitti is publicly admitting that they need to, or I guess Byron publicly admitted that Gary Vitti told him that Kobe needed to sit down, and he just said, I'm gonna, rather than the medical professional, I'm gonna go with Kobe's advice on this. He's pretty great at basketball. He's probably good at being a doctor too. So.
I mean, could you imagine if Byron was coaching Dr. J? Then he's an actual doctor, guys. This is what his name means. He just gets to play whenever he wants. Julius's arm fell off. Byron, he's a doctor. Duh. I thought it was funny. I don't know. Did you see the tweet that Sam Esfandiari sent out? I
Yes,
think he
and
had a text from somebody at the
can't
game.
we can't obviously confirm that that's 100% true. We don't know if that guy just missed something and Byron had told Kobe you're going in at X minute or whatever, but that was pretty hilarious that he was saying apparently Kobe just got up and entered the game without saying anything to Byron. Which is pretty much the premise. So here we go, shameless plug of an article that I wrote yesterday. Everybody crushing Byron for not sitting Kobe down. From the sound of his interview yesterday and all of the media stuff, I don't know that he can. I don't know that he has the organizational authority to shut Kobe down.
Well, I think you
Like
use the proper term.
From top to bottom, they've kind of seeded, you know what, Kobe, you're going to do whatever you want to do. And that's what you've earned by playing 19 really good seasons for us, or mostly really good seasons.
Right. Yeah. I think you used the absolute proper term there by saying the organizational issue here is that the Lakers are just like, he's literally running the Lakers. You know, when Donald Sterling was ousted from the league, Doc Rivers took over and had to take over all organizational control of the Clippers. There is no such ousting with the Lakers, and Kobe's just stepping in and be like, I own this B.
Oh man, I thought you were going a dark place when you brought up Donald Sterling, but let's not compare it to that. The Jim Buss is he deserves some criticism for the way that he's went about things and sometimes the way that he handles things in the media. I think he tends to put his foot in his mouth, but he's not Donald Sterling.
Oh, I agree completely. I'm just saying I guess that was the closest thing to somebody not in an executive position just stepping forward and taking control of the entire organization.
I think I get what you're saying. Yeah, somebody just there's no one waiting to come in and save the team if he really is running it to the ground.
Right, completely. So that's what's going on, or that's what it seems like is going on there. Kobe does, it wasn't a very good game. He finishes 4 of 15 for 8 points, 3 assists, 2 steals, a block, 2 turnovers. Going over 4 from 3-point range in 27 minutes. I'd still like to see that get closer to 20 to 25 minutes. And in the first half, he played
16 minutes.
16 minutes again in the first half. What's that?
If I remember correctly, it was 16 minutes.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, I guess I don't understand why there's such a need to play him so heavily in those first in the first half. If it's not like he can come out and he can get warm again during halftime, and you can manage those early minutes and then try to in case a situation like tonight happens where if the game was still close, do you think there's any chance in heck that Kobe sits out in a fourth quarter in Oakland, given how
he played anyway? It wasn't close and he came back in. Of course, if it was close, he was coming back in.
Right. So I guess he's playing full first quarters and then he plays the first half of the second quarter and then calls it a first half. I don't understand why they can't, instead of 12, maybe play him 8 minutes in the first quarter. And if you really want to play him in the second quarter, let him warm up in the hall. Let him ride a bike. I saw Derrick Rose was riding a bike in the hallway the other game. All kinds of athletes do that all the time. So if he doesn't want to stiffen up completely, let him work out in the hall and then have him come in for another 5 or 6 minute stretch in the first half or in that second quarter. And then now you can, you don't have to feel so concerned about how many minutes he winds up playing in the second half. It's kind of like how these award shows go, where these people who win, for best costume in a foreign animated film with a director whose name starts with an A, get like all kinds of minutes, and they thank everybody and their mom. And then Leonardo DiCaprio steps up at the end, and they're trying to hush him off the stage because he's trying to, thank people for one of the biggest awards of his life. And they're like, sorry, Leo, we let Joe Blow over there talk for 15 minutes. You get 5, to close this quarter. I just the amount of ineptitude surrounding this Kobe situation it continues to boggle the mind.
First off, I want to say I'm really glad that analogy ended up making sense, because I had no idea where you were going with that about halfway through when I was starting to panic. I'll just be honest.
That's how it always goes.
And second of all, it almost comes off like they're expecting these games to be blowout losses, and so we could play him a bunch of minutes in the first half because there's going to be no point in playing him late anyway.
Yeah, that's some faith in your team.
Yeah, I mean that's the only way it makes sense, right? If you think or they think that they're going to get blowout wins where he's not needed down the stretch.
I think
it's like we're down 20. I got a good feeling about the start of the third quarter. I think we're going to go on a run.
We got this in Oakland with the Warriors coming off of a loss. All right, so I did want to talk a little bit about the Lakers on the whole. There is a team beyond Kobe, even if the Lakers don't want to admit it. The Lakers have played, I would say, 6.5. I tried to say 7 before we went live. You talked me down to 6.5 quarters against the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Golden State Warriors, 2 title contending teams. And they've played them tough in that amount of time. Tonight, I saw it said that the Warriors played 5 games in 7 nights, or 4 games in 5 nights, or something like that. So there might have been
they just came off a late loss against Denver last night and had to fly back to Oakland. So they were flying in. I think later than the Lakers did.
Right. Yeah. And based on how they played in that first half, they flew in from Denver after partaking in what is legal in Denver the entire ride home.
Oh, man. You mean the Mile High Air?
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah. But what do you think is it? I mean, have the kids, Byron is saying that the kids are learning to compete. Do you think that's everything that's going on there from the Lakers side? Or, are we starting to see this team kind of come into its own, something we can expect moving forward throughout the second half of the season?
I think, well, for one thing, Lou Williams is all of a sudden a helpful player again, now that he's not being asked to play point guard. Well, it's not all of a sudden, it's been the last 2 or 3 weeks, but he started off the season really, really bad. And so that was hurting the Lakers. Brandon Bass started off the season really, really horrible, and he's been acceptable for the Lakers the last couple of weeks. He obviously didn't play tonight, but then they've replaced him. Rather than replacing him with Sacre, they replaced him tonight with Black, or with doses of the Randall Nance front court, which is those are both fun developments. Yes.
And tonight I thought, I'm not going to read into it. I'm not going to do the full Simmons, body chemistry doctor or whatever, but it did seem like everybody.
I think a body chemistry doctor is an actual thing. A body language doctor, I think you mean.
Well, it was team chemistry, body language. I combined the two. How's that for
just making up terms? You think you're Simmons all of a sudden? Get one podcast.
I do think it looked like Russell was excited to play with somebody who actually rolls to the basket, and when they roll to the basket, unlike Robert Sacre or Roy Hibbert, on the rare occasion when Roy Hibbert rolls to the basket, disaster doesn't strike if he passes those guys the ball. If he passes Black the ball compared to those other guys. Was I looking for something that might not necessarily be there, or did you notice some of an uptick in energy while Russell was playing with Black?
Oh, it seemed like there was an uptick in energy. They were getting out, and I think some of that is a function of just Black is more mobile than Bass. He's way more miles more mobile than Hibbert. I mean, at this point, you might be more mobile than Hibbert. He's not a quick dude. He's a lumbering 7'2" true 7-footer.
Hey, I'll have you know that I took my dog out for a run today, and I was breathing hard for a half hour. So
okay, never mind. I apologize, Roy. I take that one back. Uh, but anyway, I think that it's going to appear, even if there isn't necessarily an uptick in effort or energy or these intangible qualities, it's going to appear that way just as a function of the skill sets on the floor. They're going to be able to get out and run more, which looks like they have more energy all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it's just I played, obviously. Look, I always use a disclaimer, and I almost feel like it's insulting to use a disclaimer, but I played point guard, and I had bigs who
here we go.
couldn't finish, or if you pass them the ball and the ball goes off their hands repeatedly, eventually it's like, man, screw it, I'm just going to shoot this mid-range jumper, and it starts to wear on you. Anybody who's ever played the game in a facilitator role will say, yeah, you play with somebody who has either rock hands, who can't catch the ball, or literally is allergic to finishing at the rim. Like tonight, Roy Hibbert had a tip-in where nobody was around him, and Kevin Hartland asked on the air, how in the hell did he miss that? Or how in the world did he miss that?
Yeah, I don't think he said hell live on air.
How the bleep? No.
Technical difficulties.
Hey, Roy Hibbert would cause me to get technical difficulties in one of these games.
It doesn't take much with you.
No. And like I said, if anybody's going to, it's going to be Roy, Roy Miss Layup. I mean, Roy, whatever his last name is. But Roy Hiccup at the at the rim, Roy Hiccup. But yeah, it's got to be, and when Russell has the confidence to throw that insane lob at
that was it's good to dream big, D'Angelo, but that was insane.
Well, I think if he throws that same lob to Roy Hibbert just falls on the floor and just rolls up into the fetal position. At least Black went up and tried to make a play on the ball. I'm sorry, I'm killing Roy Hibbert.
He has more of an ability to be fair.
Mm-hmm. To roll up in the fetal position?
No, to get up and go and get that lob.
Mm-hmm.
Like D'Angelo would never throw that lob because he knows that that's never happening. I think he just got so excited by having an actual bouncy pick and roll big that he just thought he was throwing to Blake Griffin all of a sudden. He ain't even stretched though.
All right, so that's enough. Anything else that might be factoring into these quarters against really good basketball teams that the Lakers have played well against?
No, I think it's just those two things. They're gelling better. They're learning to play together, and the lineups make more sense. And if we're gonna be brutally, completely honest, Kobe has sat out for quite a few of those quarters, and Anthony Brown has played, and Anthony Brown is much lower usage and plays better defense.
Mm-hmm. And I think some credit.
Although, actually, Kobe did play very good defense at times against Klay Thompson tonight, so we do have to give him credit for that.
I do think, there are some occasions where you have to give Byron credit, right? So if we're going to kill him for every stupid quote he makes regarding Kobe, I do like how he's treated, this team on the whole recently. I think there's still some weird thing going on between him and Russell, but
he's went to, after kind of eviscerating Randall about a week or two ago, he's went to bat with him a couple times, almost when he didn't really need to a couple times. I noticed in the post-game press conference, they were just kind of asking an innocuous question about Randall, and he has struggled a little bit over the last couple weeks, but Byron was just kept saying he's playing well. You guys are looking at the wrong things. He's not shooting well, but he's playing well. And I mostly agree with him on that. I don't think that Randall's taken that many atrocious shots. He's taken some bad shots, but a lot of it is just he's been out of rhythm for whatever reason.
Ben Rosales tweeted it today, and I thought it was very poignant that, all those contested, contorted shots that he was making at the rim earlier this season just haven't been falling lately. And, if he maintains the energy level that Byron appears to be happy with and then starts making those shots at the rim, then you have the kind of guy that Byron is comfortable playing for longer stretches. So,
and he did it tonight. He put it together. He went 7 of 14, and I don't know that it's a coincidence that he shot better playing alongside Nance and Tariq Black.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
Because
yes,
Tarek
40
Black,
minutes.
both of them occupied the defense's attention in different ways. Black, the help defender, has to make sure that they're boxing him out, because if they come over to help on Randall, even if he misses, Black is, as he showed in the D League, just going to tip dunk it. You have to
Mm-hmm.
box him out. And Nance spaces the floor a little bit and causes defenses trouble in that way. So he's just had more space to work with too.
Yep, you hit the nail on the head. Nothing there to add other than it's not Roy Hibbert. Like, just Roy Hibbert isn't out there. It's good things happen.
So does this? I mean, it raises that weird question of, are they better off coming off the bench right now? The two younglings.
Well, the younglings. What the hell's a youngling?
Star Wars.
Okay, nerd. But I do think the biggest thing, I don't really care if they come off the bench. I care about who they play with. So if Roy Hibbert is going to start, which it seems like he's not going to lose his starting spot, then fine. Bring those guys off the bench and maximize the amount of time they spend alongside each other. You know, if it's Tarek Black and Julius Randle, and then you stagger the minutes so that Randle plays with Nance, and that starts to make sense. Eventually, what I'd like to see this season, if Roy Hibbert continues to play like dog crap, I'd like to see him get out of the, eventually you got to, I don't care if it's a veteran. You need to make that change. You have to hold guys accountable for being terrible.
The second highest paid player on the team, I don't see him, short of injury, getting benched. And so that's starting to become an issue. And I think we thought that he could cover up for Randall's defensive mistakes, and to a degree he did. The team got a lot worse on defense when that change was made. But I think that they just offensively, the fit is so bad. There was some thought that with both of them being pretty good passers for big guys, that they could make it work, but the spacing's so clogged, and it just doesn't seem to work very well.
Yeah. So I mean, Roy Hibbert only played 21 minutes tonight. So and let me look again.
Remember when he was playing like 35 minutes a game in the preseason, and we just couldn't figure it out why he was.
I think Roy Hibbert was trying to figure it out. Like, he got past that 25-minute mark and he's like, guys, but I think it'd be an interesting study to go back and look at what he was doing early in the season, and then look at what's going on now, and trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with Roy Hibbert. So, I would hope somebody in the Lakers organization is doing that. But yeah, 21 minutes. He wasn't in foul trouble. He only had the one foul tonight. So, you kind of wonder, might he be getting phased out to a certain extent? And he doesn't have any trade value, so I don't see him getting any trade value in the foreseeable future. So it's kind of a mess going on there with that Roy Hibbert situation. As best summed up again by Dave Schilling in our last Lakers Lounge show. He was phenomenal about that. We talked about Tarek Black. Anything that you wanted to add to what he brought to the table today?
It's just hilarious how glaringly obvious it was that he was so helpful. And, tonight was the 41st game of the season. We're at the halfway point, and they couldn't get him in there before now. It's crazy.
Right. And Robert Sacre wasn't dressed for the game. I'm sure he gave phenomenal high fives and answered all the post-game questions at length, as everybody would hope. So, I think we're going to start seeing some real major changes coming at as this season comes to a close.
Byron did tell Mike Trudell earlier tonight that over the second half of the season, he does see the young players playing together more, like they did tonight.
There were stretches tonight. There were stretches tonight where you saw all rookies or all young guy lineups out there. The lineup we've all waited for all season was actually out there on the court together. The Clarkson, D'Angelo, Brown, Randall, Nance lineup. And then it was the same thing even before, or right before that, where Tarek Black was playing in Larry Nance's spot. And I don't care if the Lakers got blown out in that stretch. I want to see if those guys can play together so that we know what we have, or the Lakers know what they have heading into another critical offseason.
Yeah, you gotta evaluate these guys. They're both playing well enough that you need to figure out if they can fit together.
Right. I mean, you know what you have with Lou Williams. He's a chucker who happens to be efficient because he gets to the free throw line very often. But you don't know what you have in Larry Nance at the 5. You don't know what you have when Julius Randle and Tarek Black are playing alongside each other. Those things you need to figure that out before you start making you consider making moves where those guys involved, and you ship them out and you find out, oh crap, they could have worked out alongside each other.
And that Randall Nance front court has looked so good alongside of each other offensively, just in these early stages, small sample size, all the caveats, whatever, just throw them out there. But if they can just tread water defensively, then that could actually be pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And they're fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch those guys get
Larry's
out there and
bouncy.
play.
Randall tries to smash his way through people. It's just
I agree. It's a fun unit. All right, speaking of fun, we're gonna wrap up the show tonight. Nick Young is sporting probably one of the ugliest hairdo I think I've ever seen, including Odell Beckham's whatever he's doing out there. Ryan Kelly is just thrilled that Nick Young is doing what he's doing with his hair. And a fun game on Twitter is trying to figure out what Nick Young's hair looks like. So we'll go ahead and start. We'll alternate. You start with what does Nick Young's hair look like?
It looks like a bunch of really old gummy worms.
They've been like shriveled up, like
Yeah.
raisined gummy worms that have been sitting in the sun all day.
Yeah, it was a poor style choice, Nick. I'm sorry.
I think I tweeted out earlier tonight that his hair looks like a burnt bush after, obviously after the fire has been put out and everything's just kind of, especially tonight, because he tried to put it up in this whatever's going on there. That's what I got. You have anything else?
I don't have another comparison, but I do have friend of the show, Emily Brown, saying that she missed the game, saw a picture of Nick Young's hair on Twitter, and that he shouldn't be allowed in public with that mess on his head. So
that's a fair statement. That's a fair statement. Fans of old school rap, I want Nick Young to go out there and play a game where his jersey and his shorts are backwards, just as an homage to Criss Cross back in the day. Because everything about his hair right now just screams Criss Cross at me. I said earthworms, and then there's a whole bunch of tarantula talk across Twitter about what you.
I think I first saw that from Justin Russo, so we'll give him credit.
Right. So that's good. Nick, just let it go, dude.
Yeah, you got to get rid of that. I'm sorry.
I think he heard a whole bunch of people talking about can't believe
he must have gotten the social media backlash because he was not happy on Twitter and Instagram the other night.
This is the amount of disrespect, the amount of jealousy, as some others might put it, on Twitter. All right, so that does it for tonight's show. This is I am Anthony Irwin.
Anthony, real quick before we go off the air.
Quotes.
I did want to give a plug to fellow Twitter social media personality, NBA, actually more of a journalist than I am, I guess technically, at NBA Catwatch. He discovers which NBA players have cats. It's a phenomenal Twitter account. And he has a website as well where he posts his findings and all of that stuff. And they're selling these fine T-shirts right here. Can you see that?
Yep.
So it's a cat as the NBA logo, and all of the you can go to NBACatwatch.com. All of the proceeds go to benefit animal shelters and charities, and it's a worthy cause. And I just wanted to show some support for it, and hopefully maybe one or two of you will as well.
As somebody who just got, the dog that we have, her name is Callie, and she is absolutely adorable. I don't think she's made an appearance yet, so let's just go ahead and turn that over there. That's her down there. She is out. Her and Dad went for a run, and Dad is outlasting her. So that's what's going on there. We actually got her from the LA Animal Shelter on Wednesday. She found a loving home, and what those guys are doing is God's work. So that's really cool.
Animals
I didn't know
will disappoint you way less than sports. I guess that's how we can plug it.
Exactly. that's really, I didn't know that the proceeds were going to animal shelters and charities like that. So that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I believe let me check. I believe it's 100% of the proceeds are going to animal shelters.
That's so cool.
No, it's not 100%, but I believe it's the majority of it. He's not making a profit off of it. I know that. It's a nonprofit thing.
That's really cool though. That's great work on those guys' part. Give them a follow. I think it's at NBA Catwatch.
It's at NBA Catwatch. I will post the website as well. But it's just NBACatwatch.com. But I will post a link after the show is over, and you can just buy them right on the homepage. Perfect. And they're really comfortable too. It's nice material.
Is it made of? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to make that joke.
Oh man!
All right. So that does it. Before I really get fired here, I am Anthony Irwin. That was the Lakers go down tonight, 116-298 to the Golden State Warriors. Their next game, which I always do this at some point.
Saturday.
Their next game Saturday, they take on the Jazz in Utah. So we will be right here for that. I think I'll be up north. That dog, the poor dog down there, has to get an eye removed for medical reasons. So I'll be up in Santa Cruz. I'll try to broadcast the game up there. Thank you very much, Harrison.
All right. Thanks for having me, Anthony.